So let's hear from Dr. Scott in his own words. Go.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish that counts in the work of God. They had built the altar, they had rebuilt the temple, but then they sat down on the job. And the walls were broken down and the gates were burned with fire. That message I just played from 1977. Part of the blight that reduced my wife to tears as she walked through the building and set in motion the re-roofing was to discover stacks of tapes of these messages that are irreplaceable. After a rainstorm would be sitting in water. Part of Secret 16 was to start a program to convert all of these 2-inch priceless, irreplaceable teaching tapes to digital. Not the original quality, but I'm frankly amazed at the quality of that 1977 tape now on DVC. My wife came along, God sent her, touched her heart, she wept with me as she walked through the studio and saw the blight here. I mean, I come in the garage, come straight into the studio. God forgive me, but I was unaware of the condition. The engineering loft upstairs, I didn't even know how big this building was. Probably 40 years of junk, transformed, or in the process thereof. Tapes foolishly stacked up there until the floor, which is the ceiling, was beginning to bow. And people walked by it and ignored it. You have no idea the condition and how many thousands of hours of teaching would have been permanently lost if my wife had not seized upon a program. All of those tapes are being restored and permanized. You may not know, we have going on 40,000 hours of teaching tapes. We have a depth of teaching never equal. The reason I had to take a stand against invasion of the copyrights is that's the future of this ministry.
Stop the tape.
And this.
Can you cue that back just a little bit for me so that we can play it for the ones who are hard of hearing? Can we play that just 10 seconds back so that you can all understand what we're doing here today is we're celebrating. But this has come at a price. It cost me, personally, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and agony. And just so you know, it didn't come for free. All of the hundreds of thousands of man hours and women hours invested, and well over $3 million, which I didn't raise. I didn't raise for a project. I didn't raise for a secret. Sometimes we went without one thing to be able to get this done. Over $3 million just in raw materials, repairs, the things that you could fix with your hands, that you could fix as the engineer here. Play that again.
You may not know, we have going on 40,000 hours of teaching tapes. We have a depth of teaching never equal. The reason I had to take a stand against invasion of the copyrights is that's the future of this ministry and this church. That teaching is something that will continue to go on till Jesus comes. I've often kidded and said, if I were to die, you wouldn't know I was dead for 20 years unless somebody told you. You know, over the years, or probably over the last 29 years, we'll have to edit my messages. I go off the cuff so much, don't
Stop.
make...
See, I have to make sure you hear this, because your pastor is being falsely accused by many imbeciles who claim that they listen to Gene Scott, but out of his own mouth, he says, I'm the one that came along. I don't toot my own horn. Have I ever stood here and tooted my own horn in front of you and said, But he said, I was the one that came along. Until I came into his life, he was a miserable person. He was tormented by a very evil person that he was with for 15 years who saw him as a money tree, not as God's man, saw you, the people, as pawns to be able to accomplish a purpose. And when I came into his life, not only was I changed, he was changed. He started to believe that there are good people out there and that God will send the right person when the focus is right. One of the most important things he says right there is, and I'm going to just wind it back a little bit. I won't interrupt this time. Sorry. But in his own words, we will have to edit his teaching. And there are many people who don't understand. There are things that, my goodness, do we need to relive every single gas that was passed in this ministry that shouldn't, by the way, that doesn't even, he'll say it, doesn't even merit being repeated. So please pay attention to what's being said here. Play the clip.
You know, over the years, or probably over the last 29 years, we'll have to edit my messages. I go off the cuff so much, don't make that many mistakes, but once in a while I'll make one. You've seen it. We need people that can sit by the hour and view these tapes and edit them and take out what is timely to individuals that should not even have their names mentioned again.
Okay?
What a blessing to be able to spend 12 hours a week just watching tapes that you are going to help edit. Editing machines should be occupied 24 hours a day. Transcription machines should be operating 24 hours a day. But too many people, like what I've been whacking the congregation about, we're satisfied to just be. Not my wife. She loves me, and she loved me before she got involved with the church. She was captured by something from God and given to me as a gift of a true helpmate. And her love for God and the teaching is growing the way I wanted the spiritual sons and daughters of these many years as I taught Friday night, where the Adulamites became David's mighty men. My wife was laying plans the other day for perpetuating the teaching, and she gave forth a spontaneous burst. I'm going to need to live at least 200 years. Not if she gets 300 helpers. Never dreamed God would give me a wife that had that vision. God said, all right, I will teach you what right kind of marriage is like. And I'm so willing a student now. She gave me someone that is a true helpmate that has been bit with a passion equal to mine to get this word out and to reduce it to print. Now, for longer than I care to try to remember, I have hounded my staff to produce a pulpit up to my standards. Lots of people participated, but my wife made it her mission to produce a pulpit of a quality to match the message on the resurrection. Every pulpit that contains a message, I had hoped that the pulpit would take on the tone in the years ahead. The Westminster pulpit that you see me go to so often with G. Campbell Morgan. But now we have one that's worthy of the message.